You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
War Eagle Auburn fans, and welcome to Tiger Tracks, your source for Auburn, cross-country, and track and field news and discussion. I'm your host, Jessica Loomis, and I'm here with my wonderful husband and co-host, Kyle, to discuss the Joe
Piane?
There you go, Invitational.
Jessica, we've done this how many times? How many times have we talked about this meet?
Probably 50.
No, not 50. It's been at least 3 years. I remember us having this discussion last year. You are struggling with the Piane.
I think because it's spelled like Diane, only there's a P, so I want to say Piane.
Piane.
Okay.
Piane. I don't know what, language or accent that would be in, but, is that Italian? Piane? It feels like something that would be Italian.
It also feels very like Jersey Shore.
But it's weird because this is in South Bend, Indiana, which
is not the Jersey Shore,
which is associated with with Irish, the Fighting Irish, and I that's just weird. All right, we just found different ways to weave in all these cultures together.
Why?
All about the name.
Why do we always ramble?
Because that's what we do.
That is probably the bane of our podcast existence.
I kind of like it. I'll be honest with you.
Well, the Joe Piane Invitational. That's where we were.
Yes. Up in South Bend, Indiana, home of the Fighting Irishmen, the Leprechauns.
There you go.
You ever thought about a leprechaun running, what that looks like?
I mean, to be fair, they're probably real fast, except that their legs are very short.
That means quick strides.
Quick strides, but more strides. They probably tire out. So, marathoning wouldn't be the thing, I wouldn't think, for a leprechaun.
So they'd be better sprinters.
But maybe, 100-meter dash.
Okay, yeah. Just not jumping.
Definitely not long jump, no.
Just not jumping.
Not hurdling.
Here we are again. With the
what happens to
I'm sorry.
us?
I have derailed this show twice now, and I will shut up.
Kyle, when did they go to South Bend, Indiana?
They went to South Bend, Indiana this past weekend, October the 1st.
There you go.
On Fridays, as they usually do. Now, this was a morning meet, correct?
Yes, correct.
And they typically are morning meets.
Yes.
Except with a few exceptions that we've already had this season.
But we have a new source of information who said that even though it was a morning meet, it did not help the temperature.
Which is
hot,
odd.
It was humid. It was more like the climate in the South.
Well, here's the funny thing about this is, and I warn people every year about this, especially people that just moved to the South. You're going to get a nice little blast of cool air that's going to come through late September, early October. Don't be fooled. Now, it hasn't gotten blazing hot again, but it's still pretty warm and humid.
It's pretty humid.
And pretty humid out there. And
but it's
obviously
so
got up there.
random that in Indiana, in October,
yeah.
I mean, granted, October 1st, the very first day of October, but
right.
still, you would think that this would be the perfect climate. Nope. Hot and humid, just like they were running in Florida.
Would you rather run in warm and humid or cool and breezy? When I say cool, we're talking low 50s, high 40s. Would you rather run
low and breezy?
Really?
Honestly, that humidity, it just makes it so hard to breathe.
Even with the cold air?
Yeah, because after a while, if you're a good runner, your lungs get so used to running in the cold.
Oh, excuse me, I guess I wasn't a good runner because that cold weather always got me.
Because you don't do it all the time.
That's
These
fair.
are athletes. They do this year round.
I was an athlete.
No, you were not.
Wow.
You played basketball. That doesn't count. I'm teasing.
Oh.
I'm so teasing. It was a joke.
Oh.
I just wanted to see how many people I could make mad.
I'm okay.
I didn't say you played chess.
Okay. Now you've pissed off the chess people.
Okay,
all right.
Chess people are intelligent. They're not athletes. We can all agree with that.
I mean, I'm gonna. This is me going back into the blowback zone from you digging yourself a hole.
I'm just saying, chess is not an athletic event.
I'm not taking part of this.
Okay, why don't you read Coach Kent's quote from this week?
All right, Coach Quint said about this race. The race.
Coach who?
Coach Kint. Is it? You mess me up on this.
I don't know, but I love.
Kint said the race is traditionally a very fast and competitive one. Just about every top 25 team you can name is going to be there this weekend. And this obviously was before the race. The thing that I find interesting about this is that, and we're going to get to it in a second, as a team and some individuals as well finished a lot higher than they did in the FSU invite that we just got done, taking part in. And as we've seen throughout a lot of the cross-country season, from our perspective outside looking in, it seems like you kind of build in your competition level over time. So if that's the case, and Auburn, he's saying that almost every top 25 team is there, that would lead you to think this was going to be a more competitive race.
Now, it was. However, Auburn did compete in the gold division. There was a completely different division, the blue division.
Okay, now we got colors. I'm confused.
So I'm confused too, because to me, gold means first. Blue, I don't know what that means, But I think from what my research says, and I feel like somebody could help me with this, it seems like the gold division is not the fastest division. Like perhaps the blue division is typically the fastest.
Okay.
Typically? Not sure.
So is it safe to assume that we were not placed in a division that had the best of the best, but still some of the top?
We were placed in a competitive division.
Yeah. I didn't mean it that way, but
Maybe not the most competitive.
that's fair.
Is that fair?
I like it.
I don't know how to say this without, hurting people's feelings because I think both divisions were very competitive.
Right.
I think Auburn performed extremely well, probably better than we anticipated.
Yeah.
But I think that some of these top 25 teams that we were anticipating competing against, they were actually in a different division.
We'll find out a little bit more about it and maybe circle back to that on the
That just
next
sounds like
podcast.
Like a great little buzzword from work. We'll just circle back to that and more to come.
Regardless, though, a very good overall, just results, even if we were in a separate division from maybe the top of the top competition. You wrote down here the course did not include a lot of loops and double backs, which
is my favorite. I hate courses that are loops.
Again, remind people why that is.
Because that is track. This is not track. This is cross country. You should not be.
It should be one route is what you would like.
Well, or just, the majority of the route being different.
So one loop would be fine?
One loop would be fine. But all this bullcrap stuff where it's like, oh, let's do the same loop 5 times. That's not cross country. That is track and field outside.
Outdoor track and field.
No.
Spring.
It's different. This would be grass track and field or seaweed track and field. I don't know what kind of terrain they're running.
Why did you go to seaweed?
Because if you run on the sand, there's a lot of seaweed.
Do you think they run on the sand a lot? In the beach?
If they ran at Gulf Shores.
Well, I don't think we've seen that. I mean, they were at Florida. That's about the closest they've gotten to the beach.
I'm just saying, crazier things have happened.
Crazier things have been said by you two. That's the sad part.
Well, why don't you start us off? I changed it up a little bit. We're going to start with the women this time.
All the single ladies? Oh, I'm kidding. All right, sorry.
Are you a single lady?
No, I was just trying to sing a song that sounded somewhat relevant, and it failed. All right, the women ran in a 5K. Their overall team score was 3rd out of 24. Now, are we assuming this is the 24 of the gold division?
Correct.
Not overall.
Correct.
Which shows you where Auburn kind of stands. Even if our assumption is correct about the whole division thing, they're finishing the top group, at the top 3 out of this division, which is awesome. A total of 178 points as a team member. You want low points, just like in golf here, 171 runners total. But as good as that is, Jessica, we got to talk about something that's even better.
So this is what I have been waiting on all season. Not to take away from our ladies who have done a fabulous job all season long, but there has been an athlete very near and dear to my heart that's been on the sidelines watching.
Been competing in the Olympics?
Competing.
Well, trying to get in there for her country.
She's been here cheering on her teammates. And finally, we get to see her come out, compete, and freaking kill it.
Joyce Camelli makes her 2021 cross-country debut by, of course, finishing first with a time of 17 minutes, 5.55 seconds. What a way to debut. I felt like she did this last year, too, where she came back a little bit later into this cross-country season and just said, you know what, I'll just go ahead and take first right now. It's fine.
I'll just take the pressure off of everybody else. But also, let's talk about that this race was a 5K.
Yeah.
Which, again, we talked about this last week that I don't know. Collegiate cross country is so interesting to me that one week the women can do a 5K, then a 6K, then a 4K. It's just so confusing to me. But this time the women did a 5K and the men did a 5 mile. So
now I'm really confused.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Before we get to the men, let's talk about the rest of the ladies that competed and scored for us overall. Presley Weems finished 32nd with a time of 18 minutes, 11.4 seconds. Sarah Pacer finished 42nd place with a time of 14 minutes, 19.7 seconds. Hannah Thuss finished 50th with a time of 18 minutes, 25.1 seconds. And Samantha Rogers placed 53rd in a time of 18 minutes, 30.5 seconds. So that's your top 5 finishers, your scorers who all contributed toward that 3rd place finish. Obviously anchored by Joyce Camelli's humongous time. So where would you think, let's just take Joyce out of this and let's move, I'll go ahead and mention the last two. Louisa McPherson placed 146th out of a time of 20 minutes, 10.2 seconds. And then Haley Porterfield finished 162nd in a time of 23 minutes, 33.9 seconds. So let's remove Joyce and put Louisa in there. Where does Auburn end up without Joyce?
We're not going to talk about that.
I don't think that. How about this? Would it have been in the top half? I think still they would have. You don't think so?
Probably not, actually. Because you remove Joyce, that's automatically 31 more positions. And there's almost 100 places between Samantha and Louisa, which also tells you how fast this race was. That there's almost 100 people between Samantha and Louisa within a minute and a half.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
This was a tightly packed race. I mean, just think about this. So you had 6 minutes difference in Joyce and Hallie, and that's almost everybody that competed.
Yeah.
So when you think about how tight that race was, based on the pictures and the video clips that I saw, Joyce was extremely far ahead. Let me see.
Well, she's extremely far ahead of Presley, our second best runner in this meet, and she's been leading the way in a lot of the other ones as well. So it's just interesting to look at how much difference there is between those two alone.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I was trying to see if I could pull up the results, but I think there was a significant start time, like finish time between first and second place.
Whoever second was in that.
Absolutely.
But regardless, it just shows you how much Joyce does for the ladies. And they already had a great start to the season.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And to come out with a Notre Dame, coming from this meet, to come out with a third place in the gold division, I think that's really incredible.
It's a very encouraging sign.
Absolutely. And it's really, sometimes we just need that encouragement. We've known all along, and Coach Kent's known all along their potential, but sometimes it's nice to see the scoreboard take that for them too.
Scoreboard. Do you have scoreboards in cross country?
You do. It's on a clipboard.
That's not a scoreboard. That's a clipboard.
It's clipboard.
It's
scoreboard.
a board, but it's a clip. It's not a score.
Clipboard scoreboard.
Hey Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
Well, the women got off to a really good start. How did the men do?
So the men overall placed 5th out of 21 teams.
That's my boys.
3 less teams, which is interesting, but they had 222 points, and there were 152 runners in their 5-mile race. So, 19 less runners, which is interesting.
Well, but you've seen that vary each time at a meet. Sometimes there's been more women, sometimes there's been more men. It just depends.
Thank you for that. Really.
Well, remember, there's
really
this whole thing. You didn't know about Title IX, or you at least didn't remember the details of Title IX. Where some schools have only one of a certain sport, like Auburn only has women's soccer as opposed to men's soccer.
Right,
as
because
well.
we only have men's football.
Well, it's not necessarily
Dang it! I'm going to go out and be the quarterback for women's football.
Hey, listen, if y'all want to start,
we would lose.
I'm not gonna lie, we would lose if Jessica.
Maybe I could be the running back.
Jessica.
The safety. I'll be the safety.
There ain't nothing safe about you. So
So back to the men. We had 2 men place in the top 10. So we had Ryan Kinane placed 9th in 24 minutes, 49.6 seconds, followed right behind by Tommy McDonough, placing 10th in 24 minutes, 50.8 seconds, literally less than a second difference between, well, 1.2 seconds difference, sorry, between these two guys. Tommy, interesting fact, this was 25 seconds faster than he ran this exact same course 2 years ago.
So give us some perspectives. 25 seconds.
25 seconds!
Okay, listen, but
that's a lot!
Remember, I'm speaking for the layman here. I'm asking the questions they're asking.
Okay, why don't you get on the ground and do a plank for 25 seconds and see how long 25 seconds is?
I don't know that that's a fair comparison because
you can't do
that's
a plank.
like upper body strength versus running. I'm asking like this is a huge
huge
differential.
Deal. That's a huge differential, especially since last year was trash for all of us, you know.
Because of COVID. I was like, I thought you were calling the cross country season trash. I was like, wow.
Trash because of, this thing called a pandemic.
Yes, gotcha.
And it ruined everything.
We're on the same page now.
No. So I'm just saying, we don't know how, obviously for him, it wasn't trash in terms of, like endurance and stuff.
Right.
Training. But for some of us, it was really trash. So it's really nice that his second time, or the second time in 2 years that he's been to this course, that he had such a big improvement. I think that's fantastic. Then we had Jackson Thomas getting a PR, placing 51st in 25 minutes, 52.3 seconds. Fourth place for Auburn was Carson Beddix in 61st place in 26 minutes, 1.2 seconds. Then we had Cooper Atkins finishing out for Auburn scoring guys. He placed 91st in 26 minutes, 37.4 seconds. Then we had Evan Rogers in 132nd place in 28:19.8 seconds. And finally for Auburn, Benson Atkins finishing 141st in 29 minutes, 30.9 seconds. So really exciting times from both the men and women. Mm-hmm. But I really am just really encouraged that these men continue to do really well, placing in the top 10, having two guys in the top 10, the third person being somebody that has a PR. And then it's really nice seeing, from week to week, the fourth and fifth place finishers for Auburn are kind of changing places.
Right. I was going to point that out. I was wondering if you noticed that.
Oh, yeah. And seeing Carson in fourth, I think this was a great race for him. Really looking forward to seeing what he can do this season. And we've always known Evan coming back and seeing him racing. But I think we've got really, really good potential between the men moving forward in the season.
Well, if you look here, what I sticks out to me is whereas compared to the women, you've got Joyce just anchoring the team. You got two guys anchoring the team that, like as you said, finished in the top 10. And that's really what propelled Auburn into a fifth place finish in this division. Because you kind of, just from my understanding of cross country and learning with you over the past couple of seasons, you really seem like you have to have that anchor, whether it's one person, whether it's a pair, or maybe even three people. Yep. You've got to have those people that you count on to get your score lower or as low as it can be so that the other players, and it gives the other athletes behind them something to strive for and to chase after.
That's exactly right.
A running buddy kind of situation.
Exactly. And I think I've mentioned it before, and not a shameless plug because I am old and this was a very long time ago, but when the cross country team that I ran for in high school, when we won state for Alabama for the 6A women, that was kind of how we did it. We knew we weren't necessarily the fastest girls out there, but we were the smartest. That's a shameless plug. But we also ran as a pack, and we won state because of that.
Right. Because
we were able to run as a pack and just continue to chip away and get between all those other runners. And so if you can do what Ryan and Tommy did, and you're together, and you've now literally moved everybody back 2 more places. And so the closer that you can be as a team, those are not only lower scores for you, but higher scores for everybody else. And so, really just encouraging Jackson and Carson to come together, push each other to be faster every single meet and get closer to Ryan and Tommy. And, the closer you can get, the better your team score is going to be.
Yeah, and I just kind of like the way the team's shaping out right now. It feels, not that it was incomplete before without Joyce. They were doing well enough without her.
Presley had been a really good leader this season too.
But think about it. Now you've got Joyce and Presley probably as the clear leaders for the ladies. And I think it's interchanged a little bit, but you've had Ryan especially, but Tommy McDonough as well stepping up and kind of being the leaders for the guys. And so you have those 2 anchor pairs and then some a little bit further than others like Joyce, who are just really going to probably drive this team to do some surprising things by the end of the season.
Definitely. And I think for us, Kyle and I being both oldest children, type A personalities, all of that, I think we both love seeing those, those automatic leaders come out in this. So we know that Joyce is like a figure that's been a really good leader, whether she's a team captain or not. You know, all of those titles don't necessarily matter, but she has been a really great leader for this team. And so I'm just really excited that I've seen her on social media and everything, just really encouraging her teammates all along. And so now for her to get to run with them and be a part of that as a leader within that group is just so encouraging. And I just really look forward to the rest of the season having her here racing.
It is nice to have an Olympian, and it's nice to have a SEC champion.
There's so many wonderful things. So Auburn has another week break, and then they go back to FSU. So they've already run this course, which is awesome.
If it wasn't muggy enough, we're going back to Florida.
I know, but it's not till October 15th. So maybe it'll be better in Florida. I don't know. It's always hot in Florida.
It's Florida. Come on.
I freaking hate Florida.
Whoa. Florida's fine. Let's not.
Florida's hot.
Look, you've made the chess people mad. You've made the Florida people mad. You've eliminated at least a quarter of our audience at this point.
Well, it's been a rough day. It's a Monday when we're recording this. So anyway, Auburn goes back to FSU for the pre-nationals meet Friday, October 15th in Tallahassee, Florida.
I hope we can do just as well as we've done. And, you know, obviously the competition is probably going to be even stronger there, I would assume, in pre-national form. This is getting me ready for the nationals. That's why it's pre-nationals. So counting on big things, and hopefully Joyce and Presley and Tommy and Ryan can lead these men and women to some big things.
Absolutely. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.